Be taking a look at dYdX. So dYdX is a DEX that allows you to engage with derivatives trading using zero-knowledge proofs. You can use perpetual futures, you can trade margin, you can trade spot, you can do essentially a variety of different things with this exchange. Now, when it comes to the governance, dYdX is the token that's used to essentially vote on proposals, which we call DIP proposals. So DIP proposals stands for dYdX improvement proposal, and we can go ahead and change the network, say, and vote to reduce staking rewards, or to impose new transaction fees, or to redistribute transaction fees which had already been implemented. It basically is a mechanism that allows the protocol to grow in the direction the community wants it to. So dYdX is a pretty awesome team. Antonio Giuliano was the person who created it. He worked at Coinbase before and left to create a new decentralized exchange. He's known for being very product focused. So dYdX now is even talking about moving to Cosmos, because he believes that will be a new chain that will allow it to essentially deliver just a better product. So right now, dYdX is on Ethereum, and it uses StarkWare to facilitate really fast and efficient transactions. We can see right here that Ethereum provides decentralization and security. This Starkx, Starknet, general purpose composability permissionless scale. So while it doesn't exactly have the security and the decentralization of Ethereum, it inherits those through Ethereum's character, and it improves on those other properties that we need in order to have these decentralized applications which scale, or applications with an underlying decentralized infrastructure. So we'll take a look here. Decentralized exchange, it's an exchange that either uses an order book, which dYdX does use, or it can also use an automated market maker. And if we want to know what an AMM is it's basically where you trade between assets instead of exchanging those assets for fixed prices. You sort of trade between the two, and as you get more apples relative to pears, or more pears relative to apples, the price of the more scarce asset will increase in context of the other asset. So decentralized exchange, it's a way of facilitating that exchange on a decentralized manner. Now, this obviously gives people more freedoms, and these are some of the properties associated with it: self-custody, diversity, trustlessness, lower fees, potentially. It increases privacy, increases scalability, it's less liquid, and it's also has a greater degree of accessibility. So self-custody, this comes from essentially the ability to take control of your funds. You're in control of your funds on a decentralized exchange. You own them. Diversity, because there's a distributed nature of decentralized exchanges. A DEX is going to rely on many different individuals to have the DEX operate. So if one party backs out, the whole thing doesn't come crashing down. Diversity, that's why. Like in the environmental sense, you want to have a population which is diverse, because if the environment changes, that population will be able to withstand environmental changes to a greater degree than a population that is not diverse. It makes a lot of sense that we would to impose that principle onto our infrastructure to make our infrastructure more robust. Trustless, yet you can just read the smart contracts and know exactly what's happening. In the case of dYdX, the whole thing isn't exactly decentralized. There is a part of the exchange that is done internally. Scalable, we can scale with layer 2s like Starknet, which is basically that infrastructure package that allows you to have more scalability and speed while inheriting these security and decentralization from Ethereum. Now, less liquid. This property will probably change over time if more liquidity enters decentralized exchanges because they're more attractive. Accessibility is a big one. So you can use accessibility, like anyone can access a decentralized exchange with an internet connection and a wallet. I mean, that's so powerful because I remember when I was signing up for Coinbase and for Binance, I had to go through a KYC. I actually started using Coinbase before Coinbase allowed you to open an account if you were 13 years or older, and then they changed their mind. So I had all this money there that I couldn't access until I turned 18, and that was it was a huge pain. With decentralized exchanges, you don't have to go through any of that. Now we might have an idea of what a decentralized exchange is. Let's take a look at what derivatives are, because dYdX is really merging this idea of a DEX with derivatives. So derivatives, these are financial instruments which derive their value from an underlying asset. So we've got a nice graphic here, which courtesy of Master the Crypto. So we have a contract between two people. They will exchange something called a derivative whose value will come from another asset or a commodity. So for example, we can trade currencies through currency swaps. For example, we might want to trade commodities like gold or silver or wheat through futures. And then another thing we might do is just actually give somebody the option to buy or sell some asset on a particular date. So options. Now we'll just go over a few of these. dYdX uses perpetual futures, so you don't actually have to execute anything. Traditionally, futures contracts, you would actually take delivery. So if this is confusing, I would encourage you just to look into futures contracts more, but I can give you a kind of a high-level overview. So let's walk through an example with a futures contract just so we're all on the same page here. So if we have a futures contract, you're buying some contract, a derivative, right? And this derivative takes its value, it derives its value from the underlying asset, which in this example, let's just say it's gold. I buy a derivative for gold, and I'm saying I would like the option to purchase gold at today's price in the future. That's where a future comes from. Let's say gold's trading at 2K today. I'm assuming that if I take a futures contract, a bullish futures contract, the price of silver might go up, say to $3,000 in the future. And let's say 1 year out, I can go ahead and say, all right, I want to exercise my futures contract. I will have the obligation to actually to purchase that silver. So I'll go ahead and buy the silver at $2,000 when I bought the futures contract. Now I can sell it for $3,000 and I make $1,000 profit. We can use this in clever ways to hedge ourselves. The specifics aren't exactly important. It's more so that we can trade in essentially with leverage. Using perpetual futures on dYdX allows us to use leverage. So that's kind of what derivatives are in a nutshell. So now that we've uncovered some of these key notes I have here, we've looked at DEX, we've looked at derivatives, and we've talked a little bit about this governance idea. We can go ahead and take a look at StarkWare. So StarkWare is sort of this technology that allows us to increase transactional bandwidth so we're not constrained. So if any of you have ever used Ethereum, you know that it's a real pain to use sometimes because transactions are slow and expensive. StarkWare is increasing that efficiency. It's borrowing that security and decentralization from Ethereum and then adding on top of it, this general purpose, composability, permissionless, scalable solution. We can go ahead and click in here. So ZK, it's a type of zero knowledge proof. And what that means is I can prove something without revealing what it is that I'm, the substrate essentially. So look, if I'm 21, okay, and I want to go into a bar, I can prove using zero knowledge proofs that I'm at least 21 without showing you my ID and showing you my exact age. This is the common sort of example of zero knowledge proofs that's thrown around there. So dYdX works by using Starkx, which is an implementation of this zero knowledge proofs. We're going to go ahead and they have a off-chain prover, which is going to process the transactions in batch or in bulk. And then it's going to go ahead and prepare a state update for those transactions and the new state of the system, which will then update the system, right? So how does this work? Basically, we're going to go ahead and generate a Stark proof. Now you can think of it like we're going to handle all these transactions off chain. We're going to generate a proof that all these transactions are valid. And then we're going to go ahead and post this proof to the on-chain verifier. So we're going from off-chain to on-chain. And this on-chain verifier is going to take a look at that Stark proof we send. And he's going to say, okay, this is a valid proof. I'm going to accept this state, this new system state update that you're proposing, where this money's here and this is here now, and it's a state update. I'll accept that, update the system, and we can sidestep all of that computation that we would have had to do if I were going to go ahead and prove all this stuff on chain. So it's quite ingenious. This is the method dYdX has chosen to increase its transactional bandwidth. This brings us to the next part, where we're going to take a look at just some of the things you can do with dYdX. Now that you understand StarkWare, decentralized exchanges, an order book exchange, and we also understand what derivatives are, at least on a high level, this puts us in a position to go ahead and check out dYdX, to go ahead and play around with it, to take a position, a leveraged position on a decentralized exchange, to go ahead and kind of mess around with their margin pairs and their perpetual futures, and to see what it's actually like. Ethan has done a great video on that. I'll link it in the bottom. So if you have time, go ahead and check out his video that walks you through how to actually exchange, use this exchange to trade, to take a long position, a short position, a leveraged position for, some common pairs, ETH DAI, ETH, wrapped ETH, or like maybe even ETH USDC if you want to go long or short ETH. All right. Thank you for watching this video. We'll have more videos coming out shortly.